Yesterday, I published a video about the government's reduction in electricity bills that's going to kick in from April the 1st, saving about £10 a month on a typical bill. But the vast majority of comments were about standing charges being too high. I agree with you. Standing charges are way too high. They're out of control. They've gone up about 160% since 2019, and they're driven largely by regulatory changes. Decisions the regulator has made to shift costs from unit rates onto standing charges, especially something called TCR in, I think, 2021. We opposed it. In fact, we felt so strongly that we wrote to the regulator afterwards to say how wrong we think they are. Let me talk a little bit more about what needs to be done. Every month, because of these regulatory decisions, we get incredibly high charges from the grids and networks for every customer connected, even if they don't use a single unit of electricity. That's basically the single biggest part of the standing charge. Now, some people say, Greg, if you wanted, you could pass those on in unit rates and have lower standing charges. Now, first of all, I think we're one of the only large energy company to have lower than price cap standing charges on most of our tariffs. And also, for customers who are really in need, we provide standing charge holidays. So we know the impact of this, but we also know just how much it costs in the current regulatory framework to do that. In fact, if we did it for every customer, it cost £2.5 billion a year, which is 10 times more than we earn from customers. It's just not viable without regulatory change, which is why I push so hard for it. Now, the reductions in tariffs that we're seeing because of the government changes are something we've been pushing for. We've been asking the government for a long time to reduce the levies and charges on electricity bills, to bring them down. And I think, we've finally seen that. We need to putting the same pressure on the regulator and other policymakers to bring standing charges down, not as a trial scheme, not by asking energy companies to, sort of rob Peter to pay Paul, but by fundamentally changing the way that we pay for the grids, networks, and those other fixed costs in the system. It was a regulatory decision that took those off unit rates and moved them on to standing charges, and we could go the other way. Now, of course, the companies, those monopoly companies, enjoy their guaranteed income. But I'm pretty sure we're all going to carry on using electricity. So it would be straightforward enough to put those back onto the unit rates, bring down standing charges. But to do that, we need to keep putting the same sort of pressure on standing charges as we did on the extortionate costs of levies and charges on electricity bills. So from time to time, the regulator consults on this. We will let you know when that's happening, because if our 8 million customers can speak up on this, we've got a chance of changing it. We'll also let you know when there are other ways that you can express your views on these regulatory requirements. It worked on the levies and charges, although there's more way to go, and it can work here. So I hope we can all bring the pressure to bear to shift some of those costs back onto the variable parts of the system. Of course, by the way, for some customers, if they're hard up and they have an inefficient heating system and a poorly insulated house, this would cost more. But from the savings by doing this, we can target support at those people. But for the majority of people, we have to bring standing charges down. The current situation is not acceptable. Thank you.